Hello everyone. Look, thank you for participating in Concertinas Go Bush. The idea was simply to celebrate the Bush dance repertoire and the song tunes. There's been some fantastic submissions, so thank you one and all for participating. It's a joy to watch some of them, so they're all terrific, so thank you again. For my part, I play Alational English. It's an idiophone. You can see the raised edges. It's a lovely old machine from about 1910. It's something I play around with. I taught myself, obviously. I mainly do it to accompany my songs, and I have a bit of fun just playing around with old tunes of songs and things. Even if I'm just playing the tune, I'll be thinking of the words. As you know, the Australian tradition was mainly unaccompanied singing. I believe the stories are really what's part of that tradition. And the other thing that I'd say is that I think that our dance repertoire, although it's changed in the last 30 years, considerably really, but it was essentially a tradition that reflected the harsh environment in Australia. The environment seems to have had an influence on those early tunes where a lot of the ornamentation was knocked out of them. Just reflecting the hard life of the bush, I suppose, and they're different from the English and Irish ones, and I find that quite fascinating. Here's a little tune. I mean, I love lots of old song tunes, and I quite often just play around and just sort of see how they're going to turn out. This one is Mrs. Petey's version of the Female Rambling Sailor. It's a wonderful story in itself. I recommend you try and find the 1956 recordings, which were released on LP, but they're a treasure. Of course, Simon McDonald's on the same recording.
Hi, I'm Dave de Hugard and I'm playing the Concertina with Keenan Sutherland on the guitar. What do they call it? The Concertina Goes Bush. And my Concertina is it's a Sutner 32 key CG concertina. And so we're going to play in this section just one waltz, an interesting waltz, and a waltz that might well be called the forgotten Mudgee waltz. And it's an interesting story. In 1957, John Meredith recorded the 87-year-old Fred Holland playing a waltz at Gulgambie, about 30 kilometres out of Mudgee. And the interesting thing about the tune is that it had a lot of similarities with a tune he had just recorded in Mudgee, a tune that he was eventually going to call the Mudgee Waltz. And the interesting thing is that Fred Holland told John Meredith that he had passed the tune on to Tom Blackman Sr. years before, and not only that, that the people that Meredith recorded playing the Mudgee Waltz also got their tune from the Blackmans. But there was a problem for John Meredith because Fred Holland's tune was different from the tune that he was to call the Mudgee Waltz. And in fact, you can have a listen to the recording, the tune that Fred actually played for Meredith. It's in the National Library in the oral history section. And it has, despite the similarities, there are significant differences. It's different in melody here and there. It's Fred also has only 7 bars where they usually play 8. He has also 7 bars in the final section. He doesn't pause between the parts. And so Meredith had to make a decision, and he made a significant decision. What was he to do? It's with this waltz which he'd passed on to Tom Blackman. And at the end of the day, John Meredith accepted that Fred Holland had passed the tune on to the Blackmans, but since that time, that Fred had just forgotten how to play it. And that is why the tune of the Mudgee Waltz, the tune we all know as the Mudgee Waltz, appears in Meredith and Anderson's Folk Songs of Australia as the Fred Holland Waltz. The tune, in fact, that Fred Holland would have played had he not forgotten it. So that's that part of the story, and I myself have taken a different tack, and I think that the tune that Fred Holland played for John Meredith more or less was the same tune that he actually played for Tom Blackman years before. And what Tom Blackman did with the tune, well, that's another matter altogether, and that's the folk process. Nevertheless, without Fred Holland's contribution, the lovely tune we know as the Mudgee Waltz wouldn't have come about. And so Fred Holland was a major player. It took me a while to work out how to deal with how to play the tune, to get the feel for it, so I play. How shall we say? I use my own phrasing, and I've added a bar in one of the parts to make 8 out of 7, and also added another bar at the end. And what else have I done? Well, that's about it. I've done my best to remain essentially true to the essentially true melodically to the Fred Holland original tune. So we're going to have a go, Keenan and I. And I don't know if you can hear it, but there's rain, and it's on a tin roof. This is the real thing. So we reckon it's all right. Fred Holland's Waltz. There you go, Fred Holland's Waltz, or the Forgotten Waltz. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lee, and I will be playing a beautiful English concertina for you this evening. I will be performing a well-known Australian poem to the tune of Drover's Dream. 'Twas the man from Ironbark who struck the Sydney town. He wandered over street and park, he wandered up and down. He loitered here, he loitered there, till he was fit to drop, until at last in sheer despair he sought the barber's shop. Here, shave me beard and whiskers off, I'll be a man of mark. I'll go and do the Sydney toff up home in Ironbark. Short and flash, his barbers mostly are. He wore a strike-your-fancy sash and smoked a huge cigar. He was a humorist of note and keen at repartee. He laid the odds and copped a tote, whatever that may be. And when he saw a friend arrive, he whispered, "Here's a lark. Just watch me catch him all alive, this man from Ironbark." There were some gilded youths who sat along the barber's wall. Their eyes were dull, their heads were flat, they had no brains at all. To them the barber passed a wink, "Miss Dexter, I'll it shut. I'll make this bloomin' yokel think his bloomin' throat is cut." And as he soaked and rubbed it in, he made a rude remark, "I suppose the flats is pretty green up there in Ironbark." A grunt was all reply, he shaved the bushman's chin, then made the water boiling hot and dipped the razor in. He raised his hand as proudly back, he paused a while to gloat, then slashed the red-hot razor back across the victim's throat. Upon the newly shaven skin it made a livid mark. No doubt a felly took him as the murders fall. You've done for me, you dog, I'm beat when hit before I go. I only wish I had a knife, you blessed murdering shark, but you'll remember all your life the man from Ironbark. He lifted up his hairy paw with round tremendous clout. It landed on the barber's jaw and knocked the barber out. He set to work with tooth and nail, he made the place a wreck. He grabbed the nearest gilded youth and tried to break his neck. And all the while he held his throat to save his vital spark. And murder, bloody murder, yelled the man from Ironbark. A man who heard the din came in to see the show. He tried to run the bushmen in, but he refused to go. And when at last the barber spoke, he said 'twas all in fun. 'Twas just a little harmless joke, a trifle overdone. A joke, he cried, by George, that's fine, a lively sort of lark. I'd like to catch that murdering swine some night in Ironbark. And now all round the shearing floor, the listening shearers gape. He tells the story o'er and brags of his escape. Them barber chaps will keep the toad, by George, I've had enough. One tried to cut a bloomin' throat, but thank the Lord it's tough. And whether he's believed or no, there's one thing to remark. That flowing beards are all the go way up in Ironbark.